Hello my new season guardians, I found a new favourite weapon. If you haven't yet, get your hands on Ticuu's Divination. I know it's got a bonkers name, but if you've got the season pass, you can collect it immediately from your big fun bundle on the #1 doodah. So you just collect that, it'll give you a big wodge of armour, a nice XP boost, and you'll get this baby as well. However, if you haven't got the season pass and you're doing the free run, you'll be able to collect it at level 35. So get there as quickly as possible, I'd recommend. So before we get a look at using this baby, let's just run through what it's got for us in its shenanigans. Okay, so its main exotic perk is called Sacred Flame. Hip firing this weapon fires multiple tracking projectiles, and then targets marked by these projectiles explode upon death or when struck by another Sacred Flame explosion. So it's kind of like a fire and forget bow. Precision is kind of out of the window, really. So you just draw the bow back from the hip fire position and you'll see 3 arrows locking onto 3 different targets, and they'll fizz off and then all each hit that target. Now then, if they don't kill that target, when they die maybe from another blow, then they'll explode, which is pretty bloody cool. But then it's got this other perk, and it's called Causality Arrows. Now what that means is that arrows fired while aiming down the sights cause the Sacred Flame's arrows to instantly detonate. So if you pull back and hip fire, 3 arrows will shoot out, hit 3 separate people, or they'll all focus on one person, depending who's in range. They're very smart arrows. And then, if you go and do a shot aiming down the sights and hit the target that you just fired that hip fire arrow into, it'll explode. Now this is brilliant because you can just start doing detonations. So you can empty a few hip fire arrows into people, and then you can just do a precision shot and boom, 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 boom. You got a brilliant ripple effect all over loads of people. And I tell you what, where I noticed this working so well was in the new Battlegrounds activity, which I think is absolutely brilliant. Video coming on that one tomorrow. But because there's so many Cabal all swarming you, you're just firing into them. It's going bang, 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 bang. I love it. It's absolutely brilliant. And what you're going to find is that you need to use what I am calling the rhythm method of destruction. So usually you're just aiming either down sights or you're doing hip fire. But what you want to do is get into a cadence and rhythm and alternate between hip fire, down the sides, boom, triples explosions, next lot. Hip fire, aim down the sides, boom, triple explosions, and then move on to the next lot. Bungie have also been really clever, and there's lots of visual cues in it for you. Well, first of all, you've got the reticle, which shows you when you do a hip fire, you'll see the reticles locking on to the different targets, and it'll stick with them as well, so you can see them even if they're behind rocks or even if they're behind trees or anything. I wonder if that'll work in the Crucible, so you can see it when Guardians go behind walls. Very handy method of tracking. And another thing that's really handy, when you do the hip fire bosh of the arrows, the ones that you've struck actually have a solar effect on them, like a flicker, like they're on fire. So you know that if you hit those particular ones again down the sights, they're going to explode. So visually, it's really easy to use, and you kind of get into a second nature with it, which is brilliant. Everything's brilliant today, isn't it? Now this season, we've got a different set of mods for dealing with champions. And this time, Overload is actually on bows. So this is going to come in incredibly handy for your Ticuu's Divination. So make sure you've gone to your Bell of Conquest and you've bought the Overload Arrows mod and stuck it into your arms. And then next, when you do a legendary Lost Sector, you can kill those bloody Overload guys really easily. And not to mention, it's a solar one, so there's solar shields involved. It deals damage to them as well. Plus, you've got a triple explosion on them, so hopefully this will see us dealing a lot more damage to these bloody Overload teleporting idiots who I hate. Now, there is a catalyst immediately available for Ticuu's Divination. Go and see old forgetful Banshee in the tower, and then he'll give you the catalyst quest. So to acquire the catalyst, you've basically got to get 100 orbs of power, which are just orbs of light, you know, that just drop from doing general killing. Make sure you've got something masterworked on, though, to make the orbs drop a bit quicker, because it's 100 and it can take a bit of time. The next thing you have to do is kill 100 combatants combatants, there's an email, which is easy. That just means killing anybody. And then you've also got to kill 50 guardians. So I wouldn't really bother with Gambit because it'll take far too long. So pile into the Crucible with that baby, and then you should be able to get it done. Now then, once you've gotten the catalyst, that doesn't mean it's all ready to go. You mean you slot it into your bow, but you've got to get 700 kills on that as well, like you had to with the Hawk Moon. Now I've checked on the absolutely wonderful Light GG to see what the perk of the new catalyst is going to be, and it says that perfectly drawn arrows that detonate sacred flames increase the arrow damage. So that sounds like when you detonate an already fired arrow by aiming down the sights, that arrow's damage will be increased when it detonates the arrow. So that's pretty cool. And it also says striking targets unaffected by sacred flame instead refreshes causality's arrow's duration. Now that's a bit of a tricky one to interpret really, because if you look at what it says for causality's arrows, it says arrows fired while aiming down the sights cause sacred flames to instantly detonate. So we'll just have to see how that plays out in practice. Now something else I wanted to draw your attention to, if you've got 2 minutes, go and have a look at the lore for the bow, because it's hilarious. And it's the first time I've ever read a conversation between 2 legionnaires talking about when they discover the bow. It says the 2 legionnaires rooted through the armory of the deposed emperor. They swept the rubble aside and lifted a bow of sharp metal, its thin frame of blackened blades bound with wire. And then we've got a great exchange between 2 cabal, so hold on to your pants for a bit of sausage acting.
This is the one the Scions made, so you can't miss.
How'd they do that then?
They put time in it.
What kinds of time?
Kinds when you shoot, that's always when the arrow hits.
So you never ever miss?
Not unless you're going to anyway.
So if you do miss, it'll make it a time when you don't?
Right, unless this time was a time when you're dead.
How's it make arrows then?
Well, they come from time, don't they? Because they got put there before.
When you shoot it, how's it know what heads to hit?
Well, it goes in time and gets a future where heads always had arrows in them.
But which heads though?
The ones that had arrows in them already, I suppose.
Excellently mind-boggling. These cabals are thicker than whale omelettes. I love them, they're marvellous. Although don't ask me why one of them was Welsh and another one was from the West Country. I have no idea. It just spurted out of my gob. Anyway, have a read of that. It's great fun because there's lots more about it there. Now, if you enjoyed the video and you want to carry on supporting my channel, or indeed support me just a little bit, I've got a Buy Me a Coffee page where you can indeed buy me a virtual coffee, which would be greatly appreciated. And also, if you want to see when I've got more stuff dropping of Season of the Chosen, because there's going to be quite a bit coming out over the next couple of weeks, then you can drop me a subscribe and a like and drop me a comment as well, and let me know if you've been playing with your Ticuu's Divination. Ooh, missus, sounds a bit rude. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall splap some more stuff your way very soon. Sausage out.